Are you organized?
Am I organized? Well, that depends who you ask. If you're asking me, yes. I am very organized. My organizational skills, and if you enter my apartment is not organized. It looks like it's chaos. It looks like it's an absolute mess, which to some extent it kind of is, but I know where everything is. So as long as it's organized to me, y'all don't really matter, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Like, it's organized chaos. Now, where I'm definitely the most organized is, like, digitally. Like, if you go on my computer, like, Chris, you see it on our Dropbox.
Yeah. Honestly, when I saw your Dropbox and how all the folders and every episode was labeled, there's a folder for audio, there's a folder for video. I was like, oh, I need to step my shit up. This guy's doing it right.
Yeah, digitally, I am very, very organized. It's definitely when my OCD kicks in. OCD is like your obsessive compulsive disorders. Some people they gotta touch doorknobs. Mine is more like that organizational thing. Like, I grew up a lot of DVDs. I had a whole case full of DVDs and eventually Blu-rays. They had to be organized in a very certain way. So, like, all the Harry Potter movies had to be next to each other. All the Lord of the Rings movies next to each other. But I got a little more anal than that as well. Like, all the Tom Hanks movies had to be next to each other. So any movie that had Tom Hanks or Leo DiCaprio or Denzel Washington had to be next to each other. Which also kind of got in the way because sometimes, like, the directors need to be next to each other. It's like Spielberg. Right? Scorsese, like, all those movies had to be next to each other. But it's like, okay, so you got a Scorsese movie with DiCaprio in it, and then, like, Titanic needs to fit in there somewhere. So it's like, I was just sitting on the floor going,
you're like, these damn actors doing movies with different directors.
Yeah. It's like, how the fuck can I organize this correctly? And, like, if it was on shelves, they all had to fit on one shelf. Like, they couldn't go, like, I couldn't have Scorsese movies bleed over to another shelf. That's just ridiculous. So in a sense, I'm too organized.
Digitally.
No, that was more literal because that was like a physical space in a movie shelf.
That is a physical space, but it's very specific.
Yeah. So are you organized?
Am I organized? When you said organized chaos, I was like, damn, I was going to say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I'm organized when it comes to specific things. It's more like I'm organized when it comes to things where people will see. Like the studio, I keep it pretty organized.
Very clean. It's very clean studio.
Every time a session comes in, I hit it with a vacuum and I, make sure no dust is collected. But in general, in life, in my personal space, not very organized. I know where everything is. Again, organized chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And important things like project folders for clients and things like that for their audio or for the video. I tend to keep that pretty organized. But in general, I can't say I'm an organized person for sure.
Especially,
I try to be organized though. I mean, like with things like my calendar, I keep it organized. It's all color coordinated. Pick that up as a financial advisor. Just like it was a fun thing to do for me. Make it all neat, that type of thing.
Calendars are interesting because the key to an organized calendar is just keep it basic, right? Like my calendar, at home, I have my regular Gmail calendar, which is a lot of my work stuff because I do all my production from home, and I'm not on the company's VPN because it's my own computer.
Right.
So like if there's all my shit's on Zoom, so all the calendar invites come in through Zoom. So that's on one calendar, but I also have my APS calendar, my Will APS calendar, which is a lot of it's like I schedule podcasts or meetings or what have you, and in the future that's going to be very more disorganized. But I like how Google does it because Google also does a great job of keeping me organized, where it's like the calendars, it's two separate calendars, but they're next to each other. You know what I mean? So it's like it's columns, and if I click on Jared's calendar or the info at calendar,
you said Google does that.
Google does that automatically. And
Outlook used to do that. My current Outlook just blends the calendars.
I used to like that more until Google just changed it up on me, and it really threw me off.
It might be because like when I did have it that way, it was a work edition of Outlook.
Yeah. No, you're right. Because Outlook does do that. Because on my company laptop, the calendar is so disorganized because it's not just my calendar. It's the production calendar. It's the broadcast calendar.
Holidays.
It's the events team calendar. It's the holiday calendar. And it's just like, there's so much shit on that calendar that I'm not involved with. Like, oh, a company's IPOing. Why is this on my calendar? But it is. Because, you know, it is. So it's just like, a calendar
it's
needs
important
to be...
you if you want it to be important to you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's important to know. It's like, okay, you know, I can't buy this stock for a little bit or whatever. So like, an organized calendar is very, very important. It's just sometimes it's out of your control. Like Outlook, completely out of your control. Google took an adjustment period because it's like I liked having everything on one calendar because it was longer, right? The events took up the whole screen. Now it's like, okay, now it's in kind of segments and blocks, but you got used to it. It's like, oh, this is actually much more organized.
Right.
Like a physical calendar, I can't imagine how people like back in like the 80s or the 90s or 2000s like had daily planners like I remember in like elementary school they give I give a calendar like a notebook.
Oh, I know tons of people who still do that. The people I do know, it's like I know girls who do that. They have like they have these planners, they're decorated, and
They're bedazzled.
When they say check my calendar, they like the pages have certain print on them. Whatever it is, maybe
sticky notes.
Maybe
hanging
it's
out.
like Phineas and whatever, or it's flowers or whatever the case, whatever Rick and Morty, whatever it is, right? But I have not met a lot of guys. I'm not saying that that's a blanket statement, but I'm just saying in my experience that is what I've seen is that a lot of women use planners, physical planners.
All I'll say is a blanket statement. Women are way more organized than men.
Oh yeah, there's some very unorganized women out there.
Oh yeah, no,
because like some
woman
people,
who's
like if we
disorganized
go
is
back
a
to
mess.
guys are so messy. There's some real messy women out there.
Yeah.
Go to a sorority house.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're a mess.
You know what I'm saying?
Mess.
Like it depends. There's nothing really too gender specific on either side. There's some very OCD, meticulous men that like if something is out of place, they're like the mic was like this last time I came.
Right, and then there's people like Frank. Remember we went to Frank's house for Jared's birthday last year?
Oh yeah, Frank Barnes.
Yeah, who is shout out to Frank. Love that guy.
Frank.
But super
genuinely nice guy.
Super meticulous and organized to a fault almost.
I don't like see.
Like
that's something that you've seen. I didn't really get a glimpse of that.
Yeah, it's because I was there first. I'm the best friend. No, I was there early, so he was sitting up. He's one of those people who like, hey, put a coaster under that. But it's like, dude, it's a bottle of water. I said coaster, right? But like, it's like that kind of thing. But he's like super organized in that way, and he is a male and he is a man. But typically, like with those daily planner things, it's like the daily planner. It looks super disorganized, but you go through it and like, this makes no sense to me. But like, no, it's right here. Organized chaos.
I've had moments like, let me check my calendar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay.
There it is.
I'm like, okay, maybe my life would be better if I did this too.
Dude, sometimes nothing.
But the thing is, I don't do physical planner. I'll put it on my my digital calendar.
Yeah, I like the digital much better because it's easier to organize.
And it's always accessible.
Yeah.
In this world that we live in.
Like if someone just like, hey, I need a link to like a Dropbox. I need a link to this Dropbox video. All I need is the date. Just give me the date and like a YouTube link, and I'll find it in minutes because I'm very, very organized.